2024 was meant to be a triumphant new chapter for Taemin following his departure from SM Entertainment, but his move to Big Planet Made quickly devolved into a nightmare defined by corporate negligence and public cruelty. While he maintained a grueling schedule of tours and releases, the agency's parent company, 100, crumbled under financial mismanagement, culminating in the shocking revelation that Taemin was owed over $1 billion in unpaid wages, and that executives had resorted to illegal loan schemes using the artist's personal contacts. The betrayal cut deep when it was discovered the label had signed contracts in his name without consent, leading to a swift contract termination in February 2026, where it was revealed Taemin had even paid his staff out of his own pocket. Compounding this professional crisis was a relentless wave of online harassment regarding his appearance, as netizens fixated on his nose with malicious commentary that overshadowed his artistry and eventually forced him to admit the immense courage it took just to face a camera, marking this period as a harrowing test of his resilience before his move to Galaxy Corporation. To understand the gravity of this disaster, you have to look at the landscape of the K-pop industry in 2024. Big Planet Made wasn't just a random small agency. It was part of the ambitious 100 ecosystem, a sprawling network established in August 2023 by rapper MC Mong and real estate entrepreneur Chaga One. They were aggressive, they were wealthy, and they were acquiring talent at a terrifying pace. When Taemin signed with them in March 2024, right after his SM contract ended, it felt like a power move. Here was a company promising him the world, backed by the multi-labels 100 system. By August 2024, he dropped his first mini-album under the label, featuring tracks like Sexy and Criminal, and the narrative was clear. Taemin was thriving. He kicked off a massive world tour, hitting 19 countries with 37 shows, selling out venues in Mexico, Chile, and Brazil. He was seemingly everywhere, releasing music, touring Japan with 11 concerts, and even debuting as a presenter on Road to Kingdom Ace of Ace. On the surface, the machine was working, but behind the scenes, the foundation was rotting. The cracks in the 100 empire began to show slowly and then all at once. By October 2025, rumors of internal financial turmoil became impossible to ignore. Reports started surfacing that the company was bleeding money, with insiders pointing fingers directly at Chaga One, accusing her of shady, opaque management practices. But the reality was far uglier than simple mismanagement. In December 2025, a scandal broke that exposed the sheer incompetence and recklessness of the executives handling Taemin's career. It was leaked that a senior executive at Big Planet Made had accessed the artist's private contact database, the personal phone numbers of friends, family, and industry contacts, to secure quick loans from illegal lenders. When these shady loans weren't repaid on time, the lenders and the executives themselves began harassing the people in that database. Imagine being Taemin, an artist at the peak of your tour, only to find out your agency has dragged your personal network into a criminal loan shark scheme. It caused internal panic, but worse was yet to come. By January 2026, the House of Cards collapsed. Media outlet Fact Media dropped a bombshell report revealing that artists across the 100 subsidiaries hadn't been paid. We aren't talking about delayed lunch money. We are talking about billions of won. The report alleged that The Boys was owed 1 billion won, and EXO members Chen, Baekhyun, and Xiumin were owed hundreds of millions. But the most shocking figure was Taemin's. The debt owed to him far exceeded 1 billion won. This is an artist who had just finished a world tour and multiple comebacks, a man who should have been swimming in profit. Instead, he was essentially funding his own career while his agency siphoned off the revenue. On January 2nd, 2026, 100 released a frantic statement claiming there were technical delays and that payments would be honored. But by then, the trust was irrevocably shattered. The artists had already lawyered up, demanding transparency that the agency simply could not provide. The situation reached its breaking point on February 24, 2026. Media reports confirmed that Taemin's contract with Big Planet Made had been terminated. This wasn't a natural end to a partnership. It was a rescue mission. According to sources close to the artist, Chaga One had no choice but to accept Taemin's demands for termination because the breach of trust was total. It was discovered that the agency had signed a contract with an external company using Taemin's name without his consent. They were selling his rights, his image, and his labor behind his back. Perhaps the most heartbreaking detail to emerge was that during his final months at the label, while the company was withholding his earnings, Taemin paid the salaries of his own staff, dancers, stylists, and team members out of his own pocket. The idol of idols was carrying the weight of a failing corporation on his shoulders while being robbed blind. He has since moved to Galaxy Corporation, the agency agency now housing G-Dragon, but the scars of this era are deep. But if the financial betrayal was a wound, the public reaction to his appearance was the salt rubbed into it. While Taemin was fighting for his money and his rights in courtrooms and boardrooms, he was fighting a losing battle in the court of public opinion over his face. It started in July 2025 at the Music Core Festival in Japan. Taemin performed with his usual razor-sharp precision, a professional to the core. However, the internet didn't care about the performance. They cared about his nose. A screenshot from a live stream he did with fellow SHINee member Minho went viral. People zoomed in, analyzed his profile, and declared he looked different. The comments were brutal. "He looks unrecognizable," they wrote. "Why did he touch his nose?" It didn't matter that he was an adult making decisions about his own body. The dissecting comments spiraled into millions of views on TikTok. What was once praised as the Taemin vibe was now being scrutinized under a microscope of malicious speculation. This wasn't just casual gossip, it turned into a sustained campaign of harassment. Korean forums lit up with posts specifically dedicated to mocking his appearance. Users posted side-by-side comparisons with excessive zoom, calling the changes unnatural. When he attended an event in December 2025, even the media headlines focused on his face rather than his art. Commenters likened him to an old lady or made cruel comparisons to Michael Jackson, reducing a 2-decade career to a punchline about plastic surgery. The irony was lost on no one. An industry that monetizes youth and beauty was now destroying a veteran idol for trying to maintain it, or simply for aging. Fans watched in horror as the narrative shifted from his music to his face, a cruel distraction during a time when he was already dealing with corporate collapse. The scrutiny didn't let up even as he tried to move forward. In February 2026, clips from his interview with American radio station Kiss FM circulated online. Instead of listening to what he had to say about his career or his future, the comment section was flooded with "What happened to his face?" It was a total erasure of his humanity. This is the dark side of K-pop fan culture that often goes unaddressed. The hypocrisy of fans who preach mental health awareness 1 minute and then turn around to mock a 30-something idol for looking different. Taemin has previously spoken about his insecurities, about the pressure of the spotlight, and yet the audience kept punching where it hurt the most. Recently, a screenshot from an Amazon Music video circulated with the title, "What Happened to Taemin?" on forums intensifying the malice. People accused him of being addicted to surgery or said he should have stayed with SM, ignoring the fact that his agency had just embezzled billions from him. The culmination of this emotional exhaustion happened on March 14, 2026. Taemin held his first live stream in a long time. It lasted less than 7 minutes. In those brief moments, he admitted to fans that he had to muster an immense amount of courage just to turn the camera on. That vulnerability speaks volumes. Here is a performer who has commanded stages in stadiums around the world, yet he was terrified of the judgment awaiting him on a small phone screen. Fans are now pinning their hopes on Galaxy Corporation to protect him, especially after the news that G-Dragon, his label mate, is filing lawsuits against over 100 malicious commenters. The message is clear: the era of staying silent while being attacked is over.